Namaste, my friends, and welcome back to Spiritual Intelligence, episode number 11. In our previous episode last week, we talked about the ascension spiral, which sort of lays out the full dimensionality of our healing process. And so I thought it would be helpful to begin talking about some of the direct methods for these different forms of purification that we mentioned in last week's episode. As we get into these next series of episodes on purification of the nervous system and Kundalini activation, we're going to need to have a solid understanding of the different forms of purification, beginning at the gross level, and then the subtle level, and the causal level. So today we're going to talk about the pain body, which exists at the gross level of healing, and is sort of the storehouse for all of our negative emotions and traumas. And of course, we're also going to talk about how to begin healing it. Healing the pain body is always the first step in the 4 stages of inner healing. And again, it represents gross purification. And so the method we are typically most familiar with for gross purification is what we call shadow work. And now there's a lot of nuance to this practice that doesn't often get covered, but especially when it comes to one critical area that is an almost unavoidable mistake that we all make when we begin doing shadow work. But understanding what this one crucial error is can radically transform and expedite your healing practice. So please join me for this 11th episode of Spiritual Intelligence as we discuss the direct approach for healing the pain body. I also mentioned last week that I've been working on building an online platform called 4D University, where I can begin teaching the more advanced yoga practices and inner art forms for purifying the nervous system and cultivating fourth density consciousness. I'm not going to get into the really advanced practices in this series, as they require a lot of hands-on training and guidance. And that is what 4D University is built for. So if you're interested in joining the waitlist for the launch on July 1st, you can enter your email address in the show notes below. But with that being said, the foundation of all inner healing always begins through the art of shadow work. And so we're going to learn a lot more about this practice in today's episode. As a quick refresh, gross purification is the cleansing of our energetic blockages and imbalances which cause us painful emotions. It is the cleansing of our pain body. So what is the pain body? In essence, the pain body is the negative energy field in and around our body that is created through cellular memory. So when dis-ease or dysfunction or an energetic imbalance occurs at any level during our life, that imbalance of negative energy stays with us in our energy field and over time begins to slowly usurp our positive energy. So the pain body represents the sum of all of our past pain and traumas, which still live on in our mind and body through our cellular memory. And it plays a very active role in perpetuating its own existence. The pain body is the accumulation of all of our stagnant energy, the concentrated negative energy that exists all throughout the system. And this negative energy subdivides our energy field. And as we talked about in last week's episode, the more split our energy field is, the less polarized we are, and the more we suffer. So the pain body perpetuates itself through our emotional triggers and reactions towards life. This is why gross purification always begins by simply being aware that you have a blockage. Any defensive or angry reaction that we have towards life keeps us in this standing pattern of negative emotions. And those negative emotions feed the pain body. So it is a self-perpetuating downward spiral that never stops until we become aware that we're blocked and can begin healing and spiraling back upwards again. Now, in truth, our negative emotions are designed by Source to be a signal that tells us that our thinking is off track, or that there's an obstruction energetically that needs to be cleansed. And before we can really move into the subtle purification at the level of mind, we have to meet the pain body with love and understanding so we can begin depolarizing it. The bigger our pain body is, the more negative experiences in life that we attract to ourselves due to the law of emotional resonance, which most people call the law of attraction. Every emotion you feel is like a magnet you're sending out into the universe to attract an experience that matches that frequency. Because negative energy is magnetic in nature, it has the tendency of accumulating and condensing into these psychic knots of negative energy, which we call blockages. And these are what get triggered when we feel negative emotions. So your pain body is literally a magnet that attracts negative experiences to you. So as we said last week, healing is the process of depolarizing negative energy. A large pain body means there's lots of emotional toxicity in the body, which prevents us from experiencing the peace and the love that is our true nature. So it is essential that the pain body be healed in order to allow for our higher self to begin to emerge. Energetic blockages begin through the experience of trauma. Traumas are the cellular memory from our past experiences that caused us to have a negative energy release. Our body stores our traumas at the cellular level, and our nervous system is comprised in two parts, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, or the masculine and the feminine. Our feminine energy activates the parasympathetic system, which creates relaxation and opening, and our masculine energy activates the sympathetic system, which creates action and tension in the body. When the mind perceives any kind of danger, it releases a burst of negative energy, which turns on the sympathetic nervous system. This is our fight, flight, freeze response, which allows for rapid energy expenditure. Our sympathetic response is very catabolic, which means that it comes at a cost. It breaks down the body's energy and nutrients in rapid succession to allow for fight, flight, or freeze to give us the best chance of survival. And so all of our negative reactions get stored energetically as they are seen as threats to our survival. Now, of course, the mind can't actually know when we're under threat or not. The only data it has to pull from is your perception of yourself. So whether it's a brief moment of social embarrassment or a deeply painful experience of abuse, it all falls under the realm of trauma. Anything at all which causes a negative self-perception within us is a trauma. Over our lifetime, these traumas get triggered again and again, and they grow larger and more powerful. These are what we call defense mechanisms. As long as you are still reacting and being triggered by life experiences, your mind will continue to strengthen these defense mechanisms because you are showing the mind that you still need them. So again, gross purification is when we begin to move positively polarized energy through our chakra network to begin moving and releasing these energetic blockages. And unless you're a very advanced Reiki practitioner, you're not going to be able to feel where each blockage is located in the nervous system. But the good news is, you don't need to know where each blockage is physically located in the body, because they are expressing all the time in your mind and emotions. And so you just need to learn how to meet these painful thoughts and feelings with awareness and love. And that is what begins to depolarize them. So the classic technique of shadow work is just to begin by allowing yourself to feel all of the hurt, the anger, the sadness, the fear, and just welcoming these emotions with loving arms, rather than trying to resist or avoid or suppress them. Because when you resist or suppress a feeling, your animal brain basically goes, yep, I knew it. Look how much they're resisting this experience. This was clearly a threat to their survival. So let's definitely beef up this trauma a little bit more, because this is obviously a very helpful defense mechanism. In essence, you're giving your mind evidence that you need this trauma to be strengthened even worse because of the way you're reacting and resisting it emotionally. But of course, in reality, there's no threat or danger present at all. We're simply sitting in a room all by ourselves, crying into the pillow, and feeling past emotions associated with past memories. All the mind knows as real is your self-perception in that moment. So in order to begin unpacking these energetic knots, we have to allow them to empty the fuel tank, so to speak, by just allowing them to release without judgment. So while the first step of shadow work is to allow feelings to be felt without judgment or suppression, the second step of shadow work is to see if we can meet our pain with a positive response rather than a negative response, meaning with love and acceptance rather than fear. Because when we feel love towards our pain, it signals the sympathetic nervous system that there's no threat present anymore, and that we don't need to fight, flight, or freeze in this moment. And this allows the parasympathetic nervous system to kick into gear and begin relaxing and opening your blockages. Just like when you're getting a massage, the masseuse can't get into the knot if you're tensed and locked up like this, but only when you relax can they actually do work to move that energy through your body. So when we say love your pain, we don't mean enjoy your pain. Find it to be pleasurable rather than painful. That is, of course, impossible. Pain is pain. You can't make it feel pleasurable, or it wouldn't be pain anymore, would it? So what we mean when we say love your pain is don't make it wrong. Don't judge it. Just give yourself compassion and space to feel what you're feeling. Just as if you're talking to a little child who's crying and expressing their pain. You don't judge them for it. You just hold space and listen and send them love. And that's all we ever need to do to ourselves to begin opening our blockages. This is why shadow work is also called inner child work, because many of us had very traumatic childhoods full of all kinds of traumas and abuse. And every time we experienced a trauma as a child, it's as if a fragment of our child self got locked away into an energetic dungeon in our cells, and it needs to be listened to and loved and set free again. And so when a trauma in us gets triggered, all logic and reason tends to go right out of the window, because we sort of revert back to the state of consciousness of that scared little child. Sometimes people with extreme levels of trauma will literally fall into the fetal position when they're having a panic attack or a moment of overwhelm, because they're literally acting out their childhood response to that trauma. The animal brain has sort of saved that reaction in their cells for all of these years, and it is forcing them to continually act out that trauma response and pattern of fear and self-defense every time they get triggered. So this is why we always want to meet our pain like we would meet a little child. Lots of acceptance, lots of patience, and lots of warm compassion. And this is what causes the depolarization to begin. So now we get into the number one biggest shadow work mistake. And this is a mistake that probably all of us have to make when beginning shadow work, because it is very counterintuitive. But unfortunately, it's a mistake that most people never become aware of and just keep on repeating and then wondering why they never actually heal anything. And that mistake is simply this. If you are comforting a child who's crying, you cannot comfort them just because you want them to shut up right? They can feel that from your energy, and it doesn't work. The compassion given has to be completely authentic and devoid of any strings attached. And we're typically really good at doing this with other people, or especially with children, but really bad at doing this with our own inner child. We have the tendency of parenting our own inner child by saying, "Oh, you're hurting. Oh, come here and let me love you. So you'll shut up and stop crying already. Oh, I'm sick of you." We would never do this to a suffering child, but we have the tendency of doing this to ourselves when we try to heal. And again, this is an understandable mistake, right? Because we are suffering deeply and we're tired of suffering. And so when somebody tells us that we can heal our pain through shadow work, we're like, hallelujah, sign me up. What do I got to do? And they say, well, you have to love your pain and accept it and forgive it. And so we just go, okay, great. Oh, I feel horrible and terrible and I love you. I forgive you. Are you gone yet? Damn it. So it's like we're in such a hurry to get rid of our blockages that we're not actually giving them genuine, unconditional love. So we are approaching our inner child with this subconscious attitude that says, oh, come here and let me love you so that you'll disappear forever and I can be free of you. And the inner child is like, I don't feel very loved or accepted actually, so I think I'm going to stay in this dungeon. Love knows no bargaining and no rewards. It is never transactional. It does not love someone to get something in return from them. So your inner child wants to hear from you that you love me because I am lovable. I am accepted as I am, and because I'm not wrong for what I'm feeling. So this is the paradoxical solution to shadow work that completely changes the game. We have to love our pain without any expectation of it leaving or being healed. We have to develop a relationship with our pain which says, even if you never stop hurting for the rest of my life, I'll always love you. We have to truly acknowledge our pain as valid and acceptable, and not just pretend to do so because we want to get rid of it. You cannot try to love your pain just because you want to fix it. You have to love it because it isn't wrong to feel pain. The highest truth that healing brings to your awareness is that there is nothing wrong with you that needs to be fixed. You don't need fixing because every reaction we have towards life is equally valid in its own way. It comes from our current level of consciousness, which we had at the time. So it must be honored and accepted in its own right and not fixed. There's no cheating with energy. Energy never lies. So if you're trying to love your pain just because you want to fix it and get rid of it, you are not generating the true vibration of love yet, which means you're not depolarizing it yet. Love is only genuine when it is unconditional. Healing simply allows you to be in your chosen frequency now, rather than being stuck in frequencies from the past. And love is the energy which harmonizes and balances whatever frequency it comes in contact with. So when we bring love to anything, we are bringing healing to it. Everything in the universe is here to be loved. And this is what a cleansed and purified nervous system naturally allows us to do. When we are unblocked and undistorted, we do not react to life negatively. We find that service to others is our highest joy, and our natural response to any challenging circumstance becomes, how can I help? Divine love pours out of us in whatever we do. So we can say that we are blocked to the extent that we do not feel love pouring out of us naturally all of the time. The less blocked we are, the more love and joy flows out of us, giving itself away to anyone it finds. And in order for us to heal, we must bring love to the pain body, to every trauma and every painful emotion. Love is the power that reorganizes erroneous perception. So real shadow work comes from the understanding that there is nothing wrong with you, and nothing that needs to be fixed. We only have to change our perception of ourself for healing to happen, to move us from fear into love, and from brokenness to wholeness. As we talked about in last week's episode on the ascension spiral, healing happens in 3 major levels. We first begin healing at the emotional level, and then we heal at the mental level of thoughts and stories, and then we heal at the causal level of our life experiences and our reactions and behaviors towards life. But when it comes to how we get traumatized, we can see this process in the reverse, in that it first begins at the causal level, through some kind of life experience that causes us to react in a victimizing way. And then that trickles down to the subtle level of mind, which creates a story about, I've been victimized, I've been abused or abandoned by someone. And then those thoughts and self-perceptions trickle down to the emotional body and come out of us as painful, negative emotions. So in this way, we can say that all trauma is the result of an error in self-perception. If we do not perceive ourselves incorrectly, then the mind cannot release negative energy. No negative energy, no trauma. So once we know, finally, that what we are is eternally safe and unassailable, the survival mind is transcended. Because in order to be traumatized by anything, there is a subtle prerequisite that you must first believe that what you are is fundamentally separate, weak, or fragile. Essentially, you must believe that you are just this physical body. And so no healing can truly happen until you begin to know yourself as something that is far beyond the limits of this physical body. And from that point forward, whatever happens to this body genuinely feels of no consequence to who I am. We only perceive ourselves incorrectly because we don't know who we are. So all of our pain and traumas can simply be seen as false assumptions about who we are. And the only way to correct these false assumptions is to meet them with unconditional love. Of course you felt hurt from that experience. At the time, you thought that what you are can be hurt or damaged by others. You didn't know that you are the eternal light of God. And so to the inner child, we simply say, I'm not here to fix you because you're not broken. I'm just here to show you a higher perspective that you don't need to suffer anymore because you are already perfectly loved just as you are. So now that we've covered the basics of gross purification, in our next episode, we're going to talk about subtle purification at the level of mind, using the powerful practice of inquiry. A questioned mind is a peaceful mind, and one that is full of spiritual intelligence. And that's what we're going to talk about next week. So until then, happy healing to all of you, and I'll see you in our next episode. Hey everyone, thank you for watching today's video. I hope that you were truly blessed by it. And I wanted to let you know that I'm really excited to now be partnering with an amazing conscious supplement company called ORGANIFI. A lot of you know that I'm also passionate about holistic health and nutrition, and ORGANIFI has been a staple in my daily health routine for a very long time. They make the most delicious, organic, and high-quality superfood products that I've ever come across. And as you know, a healthy body is a great benefit for spiritual growth because the health of your body directly translates to the health of your mind. Everything is connected. So feeding your body with high vibrational superfoods straight from the earth is one of the best ways to create that environment for a healthy mind. But getting all the superfoods that your body needs in one day can admittedly be a little bit tough. And that is where ORGANIFI can add a ton of value to your life. I personally start every day off with green, which is ORGANIFI's really delicious blend of 11 superfoods like ashwagandha, chlorella, and moringa. And then in the middle of the day, I'll usually have a scoop of red, which is a delicious energy blend full of 13 adaptogens and antioxidants from berries to recharge your mind and body with a delicious blend of organic superfoods. Your body is an amazing organic machine, but it needs the right fuel and signals to function at its best. And red is full of adaptogens sourced from organic herbs and medicinal mushrooms. And these are compounds that balance hormones, prime your energy pathways, and alleviate stress. So instead of crushing your adrenal system with huge doses of caffeine every day, adaptogens work with your body and give you natural, sustained energy all throughout the day. What's most important to me though about ORGANIFI is the way that they go above and beyond to ensure the cleanest and purest ingredients in all of their products. They are USDA certified organic, non-GMO, gluten-free, certified glyphosate-free, and absolutely zero fillers. So I never go anywhere without ORGANIFI, and I never miss a day without taking it. And ORGANIFI is offering a super generous discount of 20% off of your entire order when you use the coupon code Abke at checkout. So if you want to upgrade your health regimen with ORGANIFI, you can click on the link in the description box below to learn more about all the amazing products that they offer. And I promise you that your mind and your body are going to thank you for it.